How you doing, guys? Welcome back. It's LSP. It's currently the 19th of September 2023. So I'm going to get straight into the analysis because we're seeing a little bit of a rally on Bitcoin. There's a bit of confusion, as to why is Bitcoin rallying? Why is the rest of the market moving with it? If you hold the same belief as I do, that the markets are extremely illiquid, it doesn't really make sense what we're seeing. But be mindful. As of the recording of this video, it's currently Tuesday. Tomorrow, we have the federal funds rate or the rate announcement in the US. This is obviously a big deal, and I'm expecting some volatility. According to this forecast, it's going to be 5.5% from a previous 5.5%, unchanged, but obviously anything can happen. So be mindful of this going into tomorrow, because it can create a lot of volatility. So what I've done is I've cleared up the top chart. So we still have this one, but I've cleared up the top chart. And what I want to do is I just want to bring your attention to a couple of things. So first of all, if we just make a reference to, and I'm going to try and keep this really simple. So if we make a reference to this level here, you can see that price is all-time high all the way down here. We're getting a rally and obviously a pullback, and now it's bumping its head up against all of this. So you can see, if I just zoom in a little bit here, you can see that these wicks here have obviously created some form of, there's been some sensitivity at these levels. It tried to run a little bit, slowed down just above here, and then obviously it's come down. And now we're effectively creating what looks to be a consolidation on the monthly chart. Now, as we start to break this down, as we go lower on the time frames, you start to get a feel for how all of that is broken up, into its component parts. So the reason I've made a reference to this level is as we drop down, you'll start to notice something. So we had an impulse here, price got really messy. Another impulse here, price gets messy, and then it drops, right? So this is a full negation. Anything that happened or any reason why, whether it's manipulation, whether it's volume, whether it is, buys, it doesn't matter. Whatever created this is effectively nullified as price comes all the way back down to that point of impulse, right? So as we start to grind sideways now, we had a pop here on one of the previous weeks. It rejected, and now we're just kind of slowly grinding upwards. So we have this kind of area where we can see levels where price is starting to consolidate, get messy, and then outside of these, these three boxes, effectively these areas of consolidation, or messy price delivery, you can see that we have these two very sharp candles, right? So there's a dry up of liquidity. Yeah, if you look at this and you really understand what's happening, there is absolutely a dry up of liquidity. I think personally, we'll just zoom out a little bit. I think personally that Bitcoin is going up on the 1%ers or miners effectively trying to engineer liquidity to take profits, on their, on their mining or the coins that they've mined. You've got to remember there's a lot of people out there that are trying to capitalize and accumulate as much. It's actually interesting because they're trying, in my opinion, I think people are trying to accumulate as much fiat currency as possible, as opposed to trying to accumulate Bitcoin. There are advocates for Bitcoin that are accumulating it, but there are also people who just want to make money, and kind of move on. And these mining operations and some of these bigger players, they're there to make money. These are businesses and so on. So you can see these levels clearly. And as price is coming up, it's hitting this area of consolidation here where this messiness is. There's a lot of work that was done here. You can see the wickiness, you can see the messy nature of all of this, and most of it is effectively in this area just here, where you see the price sensitivity, sensitivity, and so on. And then on the upside, it starts to negate and basically find a control point, and it's gone straight through that, straight back, and then it gets messy in this area again. So this level right here is extremely important in terms of upside or downside. Now, I think personally that this isn't, I don't think this is going to last. Tomorrow, we may see a pop or we may see price drop, right? Either way, the overall bearish sentiment for me hasn't changed. If you look at the global picture, if you look at everything that's happening, I know I'm repeating myself, but it bears mentioning again and again and again. Nothing has changed. People are going to start defaulting, and it's already started actually, defaulting on mortgages, defaulting on their debts. You've got student loans in America, big problems over there. Obviously over here in the UK, you have people that are starting to default on their mortgages. Mortgage payments have gone through the roof. So, everything's going up. Mortgage payments are going up, debt payments are going up, and people are really starting to struggle. I personally know people, who are on the verge of losing their homes. It's not a lot of people, obviously, thank goodness, but ultimately, it's not a nice thing to see, and it's because their mortgage payments have gone up because interest rates have gone up. They're not fixed mortgages; they're on LIBOR, so everything just keeps bouncing around left and right I believe, every 3 months. So either way, big problems ahead. Now, if we just go over to Binance, there's something I want to bring your attention to. In fact, we'll use this chart. So when Bitcoin went up recently, right? So it kind of shot up around about 1,000 points. So if I just take you back to Bitcoin, sorry if I'm bouncing around, but let me just take you back to Bitcoin. You see this kind of rally here around about 1,000 points, and then it drops, used as exit liquidity 100%, and now it's reversed all the way back up again, right? So when you see something like this, you expect the same to happen, on or at least across the board within the cryptocurrency market, which is what we are seeing. The question is, how on earth, for anybody that's paying attention, has Binance moved the equivalent ratioed amount as Bitcoin did in terms of percentages and how it's supposed to move from a correlation standpoint? How has Binance moved that much when we know Binance has got a lot of problems? We know they're propping up their price. We know that the price is being manipulated, and we know that Binance is going through a big issue with the SEC that isn't getting any better, right? So when the markets move, they're moving in sympathy with Bitcoin. They are not moving because volume's coming into the markets. Yeah. So when we see these movements like this, where you see the drop, when you see the rally and then you see the drop, it's so much more accentuated. This is so important to pay attention to. When you see it on Bitcoin, it's probably moving because the 1%ers or 2%ers that hold, large reserves or big money moving Bitcoin, and engineering that liquidity. It's the real move per se. When you look at that reflected on the entire cryptocurrency market that's moving in sympathy with that, you are seeing an accentuated or more exaggerated movement, which in the case of Binance absolutely is the case. It started here, it runs up a little bit, and then it comes all the way back down. From a ratio point of view, from a correlation point of view, that doesn't make any sense to me, which means this is pure manipulation. It's not going up on volume. Binance is not being bought, it's being sold. Right? There are outflows from crypto going out of cryptocurrencies. Money is moving out of cryptocurrency. It's not coming into cryptocurrency. Bear this in mind, right? So where does that leave us going forward? Well, like I said, for me, if we just take a look at the monthly, there's been almost no relief down here. Yeah. From all-time high all the way up here, we've come all the way down. Consolidation, and we're just bleeding lower. And it wouldn't surprise me if we get a little bit of a pop and then a reversal, and then it just keeps bleeding lower, to some of the levels that we've been talking about, 186, 148, potentially 40. I mean, my concern and worry, is this is going to come out of nowhere. It's going to catch people off guard. And obviously, you guys know that I'm always talking about caution, being prepared, staying on top of the markets and everything else. But it's really, really important to make sure that whatever happens, that you're prepared for that. So even if prices rally, don't immediately react. I'm not saying don't buy. I'm not saying don't sell. I'm not saying buy or sell. What I'm saying is be cautious and plan accordingly, right? Because I still believe that Binance is going to start running lower at some point, right? If we just go over to XRP again. XRP is an interesting one. We had this pop, we had this drop, a little bit of movement here. It's bouncing around between around about 48 and 50. But again, in terms of overall movement, until we see this high taken, all the way up into the 90s and start to challenge this $1, which to be fair, even if it did get up there, there would be a lot of selling as people take profits. Because remember, there is a very, very small percentage of people that actually believe in what they are invested in. Most people, 95, 96% of people, they just want to make money. So if it gets up there, it's going to drop like a tank. But outside of that, I'm not seeing any signs of bullish movement. I'm not seeing any signs. It's literally just sympathy movement with the rest of the market. So, as Bitcoin, if Bitcoin starts to rally, everything else will rally with it. If Bitcoin starts to drop, everything will drop with it. But ultimately, when you look at the bigger picture and everything that's happening worldwide, and the kind of funnel that everybody's going into in terms of wealth, and losing their wealth, kind of chewing through their savings and so on. I don't see any, sunshines at the end of this rainbow. I see capitulation, which is absolutely needed. I cannot wait for this capitulation to happen. I know it seems like a horrible thing to say, but it's needed. It's needed to just flush everything out so we can start to really recover, and get this really nice sort of bull run, multi-year bull run, in the works. So with that said, I'm not touching anything at the moment. I'm still being extremely, extremely patient. My main focus is on Binance for obvious reasons, for those that know, in terms of the project and so on. But then outside of that, I will be looking to potentially purchase some XRP if it gets down to 27, purely, as an investment to make money. Nothing to do with XRP. I don't particularly care about XRP or Ripple or anything else. I'll be doing the same. I won't be touching CHSB. They're going to become Borg soon. For those of you that don't know, make sure you keep abreast of that. Go into their Discord, and then ultimately Binance as well. If it does drop, get those sorts of nice levels, 186, 148, potentially lower, then I'll be looking to scoop up some of that as well. All right. So I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Sorry the video is really long. I look forward to speaking to you guys soon. All the best, and ciao for now.